Well, we slightly saw it with a brilliant horse like Santiago in there, and Naif Road has run his usual amazing race. The one thing we didn't want to do, the ground's fantastic ground, but it's on the slow side of good, to touch dead. And of course, he's carrying the weight in the registered weight, plus £3 jockey's equipment, plus £3 the allowance due to the COVID-19 and the season the way it is. So he's actually carrying 10 stone 1. He's not a big horse to carry 10 stone 1. So the one thing Frankie and I were clear about was to wait as long as we could and pounce. I didn't want to get involved, nor did Frankie, in a sort of head-to-head slogging match the whole length of the straight here. So I thought he rode him cannily and well, and I think they both had to work very hard, carrying what is, the Yanks would say, 141 pounds over 2 miles.
Were you at all nervous at any time watching the race that he might not get a gap through?
Yes, I was, but when it comes, he has a turn of foot. So, you know, coming to the furlong pole, I was hoping that things had opened, but it's a 2 mile race, horses start to roll a bit, you know. It's not like you're in a tight old 7 furlong race around here. The gaps will come. So I was confident that he really just needed to be able to turn it on for the last furlong, which he can. And Frankie timed it quite beautifully, and to that extent, I was a lot happier at the half furlong pole than I was at the 1.5, yes.
A fourth Goodwood Cup is quite remarkable, and he's proved it as a young horse coming into the race, now an older horse seeing off the younger challengers. If I was a racehorse, I'd quite like to be trained at Terhane, I think, because you seem to be able to keep them really finely tuned and performing at top level. We said it from enabling him this week. What's your secret to keeping the longevity?
The secret is two fantastic horses with great minds on them, and you know, they've stood the training. She obviously had a well-known surgery at 4, but she's come back. It's their mental strength and their ability, and I think you're sensitive to their requirements. That's the key thing. You know, and anyone training horses, any people working with animals, that's what it's about. I don't mind if you're training dogs to anything, working with animals out in the wild. It's understanding them and just psychologically tuning in with them. I think that's the key thing in training. I think most people can get a horse fit, but whether you can have them mentally in the zone with the physiological side, the mind as well, that's probably the key.
And just finally from me, he's a horse that's very versatile when it comes to trip. Today he's travelled around quite powerfully, showing that he's got a lot of pace. What options are you going to explore with him now? Can you drop him back down in trip to let him use this great talent?
Yeah, I think Mr. Nielsen and I have discussed it quite a lot. In the Coronation Cup this year, Gayeth broke the track record. Anthony van Dijk ran a blinder in second. Probably didn't come back in the Hardwick, which was quite quick after, and we were third, and it tuned us wonderfully for the I didn't want to go into the Ascot Gold Cup 2.5 miles without a run under our belt. But there's no doubt the speed he showed that day to be there handy. Yes, he got tired the last furlong, but he's no problem travelling and quickening over 1.5 miles, and so consequently, Weatherby's Hamilton were fantastic with the bonus they put on for 2 years, but understandably that's not there again. They didn't expect to bump into the Strad. And so consequently he'll be going to the Prix Foire. So freshening up now till the middle of September, go to the Prix Foire, and if he runs a good race there, he'll run in the Arc.
So you're going to be well represented then this year in the Arc?
We hope to get them there, but you know this game, a lot of banana skins around corners.
Okay. I better open it up to the floor. I could talk to you all day, but if there's anyone that would like to fire away with their questions, they should be able to hear you and hopefully pick you up on the microphone there. So if anyone wants to fire away, let John, I'll stop talking.
God, if I could just ask you one. So Mr. Dettori might yet have one heck of a decision to make come October.
Don't worry, he tries to train them and tell me what to do anyhow, so I should think, no, he's fine. Look, he rides them both beautifully and he knows them well. I don't think he was panicking today, and you know, it was tactically a difficult race on Saturday, and they're the best Group 1 horses around. There was nothing out of France, nothing out of other stables. It can happen, but I think, you know, he'll sit down and work out what he's doing. I won't tell him, put it that way.
wait for the phone to go for the spec. Congratulations, John. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
John, is there a chance that the last time we'll see Stradivarius in a staying race?
I couldn't answer that till the autumn, really. I think you've got to see how he gets on if he does run in the Foire and the Arc, how he gets on.
So
You want my opinion on that? If he goes to stud, he goes to stud. If he doesn't go to stud, I know Mr. Nielsen is looking at one race next year. Yeah, that's exactly what he'll be looking at. But you can run a mile and a half and then go 2.5. He's versatile. Yeah. He's not what you define as a big strapping staying horse, is he?
John, I mean, there probably haven't been that many better stayers over the years, but there probably has never been one as accomplished as him. Can you think of a
I think of Cigaro, trained by a man who was a great friend of mine, Francois Boutin. I think of Ardros,
they didn't do what he's done.
They didn't do all the different things, and of course the old boy who won 4 gold cups, you know. So.
I'm not knocking him, but
he got beaten a lot of times. Yeah, he did. I don't think there's been one with a record like this. He got, you know, he was third the other day because in the coronation, because he was, quite frankly, he was having a run, just like Enable was having a run in the Eclipse. What do? You've got to get a race into them somewhere. But I think that's fair comment. He got chinned on Champions Day. He got out of the box the year before, which was quite some Houdini act. So consequently, he's amazing consistent. Amazing.
John, for you, I mean, obviously having Enable do what she did Saturday and Stradivarius do today, this has got to be one of the sort of best weeks in your careers, and having two of your sort of stable
I
stars,
think to have two 6-year-olds, I mean, you know, it is a weighty responsibility, there's no doubt about that. But look, you know, how fortunate we are to have them. They're amazing horses. They've both been sportingly kept in training, and in this year we've had with this sinister disease, it's nice to have old friends around, you know.
And for you as well, did you feel any pressure on your shoulders having one of them already delivered? You know, Enable had done a bit on Saturday. Did you feel extra pressure on your shoulders? You know, I
felt enormous pressure on Saturday because she'd been kept in training and hadn't won something like a King George to set a record there. I think that would have been pretty devastating to drive home. Yeah, might have had to stop for a treble espresso or a martini espresso, or a martini or something.
And what about the pressures of that? I know you said you thought this was Stradivarius' biggest challenge. Did you sort of feel again extra weight on the shoulders?
I had a lot of respect for Santiago. He's a big, fine, strapping horse, not typical of authorised, and quite narrow. And you know, giving that weight and as I said, 15, not 13. Yeah, I would have been surprised if he chinned us. You know, I was ready for that. Yeah.
And I think you touched on as well, you know, Lee was talking to you about the sort of middle distance division. Now, do you think, you know, performances like Enable and, you know, the talk of Stradivarius coming back might open the eyes up to other owners, potential people want to come into sport about, you know, middle distance horses?
Yeah, I think the thing you've got to realise is, you know, so Beyond Nielsen's been breeding for years, trying to breed a Derby horse. He wound up with an amazing cup horse. But I think it's horribly expensive breeding these horses for middle distance. A lot of them wind up just being not. Look at the Galileos that you see running around Cheltenham 2 miles. You've got to be good to run at Cheltenham. But what I'm saying is it's not easy. It's expensive. The mares, the stallions, the stud farms, the cost of production is something I have grave concerns about. So many of the great owner breeders are not young anymore, and for their children to carry on is probably a little bit too much. You know, it might reduce the breed of mare bad. I think Ballydoyle and Coolmore are very organised, but I don't think a lot of others are organised in that manner for the future.
John, you know both horses so well. Do you think Stradivarius could live with Enable over a mile and a half?
You ought to ask the jockey that, and he'll go all stum. I kept getting asked it about Cracksman and Enable, but she is an exception. She's the best mile and a half horse I've ever trained in my life, never will. And he's the best cup horse. When they meet at a mile and a half, you know, he handled the soft at Ascot. I would say if you got to a soft arc, she'd go better than him, but I think he'd give her a race, put it that way.